Hey, my little sugar wiggles and my beautiful butterflies. Ms.V here. Let's talk about it. Outside the topic, we all mixed up. That is what one of my subscribers wanted me to talk about tonight. Mixed marriages, mixed relationships, interracial relationships. I don't know exactly what happened with her for her to email me and say, can we talk about it? But I thought tonight was just as good a night as any. And so I had to quickly do a little research. First of all, you got to know where to start with. I told you I like the tough, hard challenges over here. And since she asked, I'm going to give y'all time to come into the chat tonight. I'm not in any hurry whatsoever. I've done everything I need to do for today, as well as preparing myself for tomorrow. So food is even cooked. I'm good over here. So good evening again to my sugar wiggers who are coming into the chat. I see you. And my beautiful butterflies. This has been a tough one. I ain't gonna lie to you. To even know where to start tackling it, it was tough. It was hard for me to come up with the content tonight. I'm not a reaction channel. So I had to go and I had to really dig deep to find out how to even start with this. How to react to what she asked me. And I'm really kind of looking for Miss Sandra to come into the chat tonight so she can tell me what made her want me to tackle this topic. So I had to dig deep, y'all, times to find out the information to lead up to wherever she wants to come into the chat and tell me what made her want to talk about this. Again, hello to all of you coming in. I'm going to speak to you individually and read your comments, but I'm going to wait a few more minutes and let a few more people come in, and then we're going to tackle this subject. Not easy, very controversial. It can be. Y'all already know that I'm not a content creator that bashes anybody. That's not who I am. I have no dreams of ever wanting to be that type of content creator. I just want to come out here, give my commentary to the best of my ability from my perspective, keep it moving. But feel free to jump into the conversation tonight. State your point of view. Everybody has an opinion, and you're free to share it over here. Okay? Excuse me. I try very hard to give everyone a fair chance and treat people the way I want to be treated. It'll never work out that way because none of us have the same IQ, nor were we raised by the same family members. But anyway, it's all good. Once you become a content creator, you have to take the good, the bad, and the ugly because it's going to happen, whether you like it, whether you want it, whether you're not interested. The only way you get around it is, I found it, you don't watch it. You don't know what's going on. You don't care. To those of you who are coming into the chat that may have a problem with this coming from a biblical standpoint, you can exit anytime you choose to. You have that right here. And also, if you have a problem with mixed marriages, mixed relationships, exit. Because I'm going to give it to you raw and uncut the way I see it, okay? Because I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. I don't care about that. That's not a concern of mine. And being of a different ethnicities, how could I? I couldn't. Plus, that's not biblical. We're going to chime in, and we're going to talk about why. So let's jump in and allow me to tackle the interracial marriages or interracial relationships. This is expressly my feelings. But in order to get a better understanding of where it began, like I say, I had to go to the Bible to get a history of the subject matter. I had to also write it down because it was so much I couldn't remember it all. And then when I start getting into the chat, I'll forget some things. So I pencil it in tonight so I wouldn't forget anything or mislead anybody. Again, this is strictly my point of view. Okay? If there are any clergy in the chat, Christians, whatever, who have a different perspective, feel free to chime in. I can use all the help I can get with this one, okay? Because like I said, I went from a biblical standpoint to try to address this subject matter tonight. So I really would appreciate it. By all means, turn this phone all the way down so because it's gonna go off for sure. Again, hello to everyone coming into the chat. I appreciate you. All right. So the topic was, we are all mixed up. Each and every last one of us. I don't think there's any pure race left out there, any ethnicity out there that is a pure race. It's been too many years since God created Adam and Eve for us to be pure, 100%. So the prejudice that we have out there today is a man-made thing. It's based on how you feel, your personal opinion of it, your ignorance of it, because it's a very ignorant thing to think that because I identify myself as Black, that you're just not going to like me because I'm Black. Then we have another challenge in 2020. Let's just say the 2000s, where we have Black on Black prejudice going on. It's like nobody really likes anybody anymore. They don't care what color you are. People are very hateful these days. And it's hard to get along with folks. And that is a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. So let's jump in and see, what does the Bible say? I'm still looking for Sandra to come in. What does the Bible say about racism first? The first thing to understand in this discussion is that there is only one race. That is the human race. Okay? We kind of get race confused with color. It's not. Caucasians, Africans, Asians, Indians, Arabs, and Jews are not different races. Rather, they are different ethnicities of the human race. You can agree to disagree over here. All human beings have the same physical characteristics of the human race, with minor variations, of course. We are all the same, but there are minor variations because of the ethnicities. Okay? Characteristics of the human race with minor variations, of course. More importantly, all human beings are equally created in the image and likeness of God. Now, when I tell you something, I'm going to tell you from a biblical standpoint where I got it from. I didn't make this up. This came from Genesis 1:26 and 27. So if you miss where it came from, you can always catch the replay and watch it again. God loved the world so much that he sent Jesus to lay down his life for us. John 2:16. So that's where love was created from. And we have all types of love that we've discussed on videos when I first came out here. So you can go back and watch that about the different types of love. So this world obviously includes all ethnic groups. He created them. And we're going to talk about where they came from. So if you're not biblical, if you believe in just the universe, this is probably over your head. If you are somewhat biblical, consider yourself a Christian, you'll probably understand it because you've read it in the Bible before. God does not show partiality or favoritism. Thank God for that he's not like we are. Go to Deuteronomy 10:17. Go to Acts 10:34. Go to Romans 2:11. You can also find it in Ephesians 6 and 9. James 2:4 describes those who discriminate as judges with evil thoughts. Instead, we are to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. James 2:8. So I had to go from book to book to pull all of this together in hopes that you will understand. And I'm going to tell you, like the pastor tell us on Sunday morning, read it for yourself. Get a good discernment for yourself, okay? Don't just listen to what I'm saying. Go get it for yourself. In the Old Testament, God divided humanity into two racial groups. There it is. That was the Old Testament, two racial groups, Jews and Gentiles. God's intent was for the Jews to be a kingdom of priests ministering to the Gentile nations. Okay? Instead, for the most part, the Jews became proud of their status and despised the Gentiles. So that's the first racism right there in the Bible. That's where it all began. I told you I had to go back and get a history of it to bring you up to date to where we are now. Jesus Christ put an end to this by destroying and dividing the wall of hostility in Ephesians 2:14. You see, he works different from the way we think and the way we feel out here. If he's the creator and you believe that he is the son of God and he died on the cross for you, then you probably are going to connect. If you're not quite there or you're trying to get there, then you need to start picking it up a little bit more and trying to get a better understanding. And I think your life would be a little bit better. I know it would. And you wouldn't say and do some of the things that you do when it comes to racism and prejudice and being unjust and judging people. Okay? It is my belief that all forms of racism, prejudice, and discrimination are acceptable to the work of Christ who hung and died on the cross. Should I say that again? It is my belief that all forms of racism, prejudice, and discrimination are unacceptable to the work of Christ who died on the cross. Now, I don't know how you feel about it. I'm giving you my perspective on it, okay? Jesus commands us to love one another as he loves us. We're far from that. The minute you say something about somebody, first of all, they never love you in order to come back and attack. Because if you really love that person, you're going to try to get an understanding. You're going to try to talk it out, okay? And try to get along. But if you never really cared for that person in the beginning, it's okay. You're going to jump. You're going to jump just like that. You're not going to even stop and think about why. You're not going to stop and think about, well, should I even address this? Or should I just ignore this and let it be? Because a lot of times when you ignore stuff, they'll go away. Only a fool will talk to himself. Okay? And if they continue to talk about you and you're not saying nothing about them, then you see that they have a serious problem. Yeah. All right. God is impartial and loves us with impartiality. Then we need to love others with the same high standards. Let me stop right here, because for me, that has been one of the hardest things I've had to do in life, is to love somebody who I know did not love me. If people keep up crap with you all the time, they don't love you. It's just that simple. They probably don't even love themselves, or they be out doing something else to make themselves happy. There's always a reason. It could be to bring you down because they really want to be where you are. It could be monetary gain for them. You'll find it on every job that you will ever come in contact with. You're going to find those kind of people. It's going to be somebody that's going to keep up some mess with you. Always. And the best thing I have found to do is ignore them. You do not have to address every situation. When I was going through segregation, racism, integration, I did a lot of ignoring. Why am I going to put myself in a position where you call me the N-word? I know I'm not. I know what I identify with. And what is it to you to classify me? Who gave you that job or that ability to come out and try to destroy me? Because that's how you feel. Otherwise, I would have been fighting every day the first year in my high school. Every day. I was called that N-word so much until it almost was like my middle name that connected my first name to my last name. But it got better because they saw where it didn't bother me. I still made the grades. I still kept the honor roll. Couldn't participate in nothing the first year, but that was okay too. I knew that when I went in there, I knew it wasn't going to be smooth sailing. I didn't want to go in there. I didn't want to be with them. I let them know I didn't want to be with them by ignoring them. I didn't sit with them. I sit by myself before I sit with you. And a lot of times I did. I'd go in and get my lunch and I'd take it outside and I'd eat it to let you know I don't want to be with you no more than you want to be with me. That's what I told you. I've never felt like I needed anybody because of things I've been through in life in my formative years. Early on. Gone about your business. Okay. So, like I said, that has been the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with, is loving somebody who didn't even love themselves and definitely didn't love me. Or you wouldn't have said and did what you did. Okay? Love is an action word. When you wrong me and I come to you to clarify and you choose not to, I'm done. I'm done with you. Ain't no coming back. I may get to the point where we can be cordial with each other again, but I can never trust you again. You did it to me once, you'll do it again. I'm not cut from that cloth where I need you or I got to lick up to you. I got to suck behind to be your friend. No. Those that know me know that. I'm going to try to get an understanding one time. After that, ain't no more, we don't have nothing else to discuss anymore. Because I guarantee you I've been nicer to you than you'll ever be to me. Because that's who I am. So that's my perspective on love, how the ethnicities were formed, and how it all got started. So let's move ahead and see what else is going on. So I hope all is well with all of you. And I'm going to try to, this is not easy, y'all. I'm going to try to get on through this and make it make sense for you from a biblical standpoint, telling you from my perspective. Check this out. In Matthew 25, that whatever we do to the least of his brothers, we do it unto him. We never stop and think about this. I don't think at all. It's just, I'm using you, Alice, because I see your name. Alice said something about me. Alice did something about me. Oh, I got to come back. You really don't. You really don't. You don't have to defend yourself against anybody or anything. Because that's going to cause that back and forth situation. Let them say and do what they choose to do. It's only going to last a little while. Then they're going to move on to somebody else. That's who they are. That's their character. Racism in varying forms and to varying degrees has been a plague on humanity for thousands of years. This didn't start last night. It's been going on forever. Genesis is the first book in the Bible. It started there, okay? We're in 2023, approaching 2024. So there's been plenty of time to stop it or to keep it going. Most people choose to keep it going. Brothers and sisters of all ethnicities, this should not be victims of racism, prejudice, discrimination, and we all need to learn how to forgive. That's something we don't do. We take matters into our own hands. We never stop and ask for directions from him, do we? So Ephesians 4:32 declares, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other. So we ain't doing nothing according to what the Bible says. We all out here pretending. We're pretending that we are Christians, maybe on Sunday. But this should be an everyday occurrence. And it took me a long time to get here. I didn't get here overnight. I had to go through some things in order. That's why I can be so cool out here on YouTube with whatever anybody says. Doesn't matter. They don't pay my bills. I don't associate with them outside of YouTube. I don't even associate with them on YouTube anymore. I don't have the time. Okay? So we all can do better. Me, you, and everybody around you. If we choose to, again, there are choices. Those who practice racism, prejudice, and discrimination need to repent. How many of us really do that? We can tell other people what they need to do, but are you doing it yourself? No, because you come back with it the next day and the next day and the next day and the day after and the next year, and it just goes on a lifetime. Now that's something I can't do. I cannot go on and on with nobody. I don't care enough about the pettiness to do it. I have too many other things I want to do, and that's time consuming to me. So we all need to repent. We should present ourselves to God as being alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness to God. And you can find that in Romans 6 and 13. Yeah, it's Saturday night, and we talking Sunday morning inspiration. Why not? Do we just talk inspiration on Sunday, or can we talk about it the other 6 days of the week? He worked 6 days and rested on the Sabbath, made the heaven and the earth in 6 days, if that's what you believe. There's neither Jews nor Greeks, slaves, nor male or female, for you are all in Christ Jesus, as one race, one body, and one soul. The question that came to my mind is, did God create other people in addition to Adam and Eve? So if all of this started with Adam and Eve, where did the other people come from? To me, they all had to come from Adam and Eve. All ethnicities, all races, and everything had to start with them. There's no indication anywhere in the Bible that God created any other humans other than Adam and Eve. Go to Genesis 2. Look for yourself. According to the Bible, he made only one man, and that was Adam, from the dust of the earth, and breathed life into him. He put him into a deep sleep and performed the first surgery. He took the rib from Adam and made Eve, the likeness of his own image. Another miracle that started in the very beginning of times. Okay? So we can conclude, probably most of us, that Eve was not born. If he took the rib from Adam and made her, how could she be born? So she's the only woman that has ever lived that wasn't born. Did y'all ever stop and think about that? We only know people coming here through the birth canal that were conceived and delivered somewhere, home, hospital, somewhere, but not her. Okay? He stated it was not good for man to be alone, and that man needed a helpmate. The Lord planted a garden. The garden was called the Garden of Eden. It was to the east. I had to stop and think about that. Why did he plant the garden to the east? Well, in my mind, the sun rises in the east, it sets in the west. So there was no street lights like we have today. They had to go by the sun and the moon for light. So this is the very beginning of time. There was no vegetation. There was nothing. Only mist, not even rain. Where we're talking about back then. So he planted a garden called the Garden of Eden, which is towards the east in Eden. All other human beings have descended from these people. So if there were only two people that had to be some intimacy between them, because we know of two children that they had, which was Cain and Abel. There were other children, but they were not mentioned in the Bible. Maybe these two were mentioned because we all know what happened with Cain and Abel. Cain slew Abel, his own brother. The first murder in the Bible. Murder didn't just start with generations past in our lifetime or previously before. It started back in the very beginning of time. I've told y'all before, most of the stuff we're going through, the names have changed. That's it. You're not going through anything that has not happened before. It's history repeating itself. They had many children other than Cain and Abel. We know that Cain slew Abel. We've read about it. So where did these interracial marriages begin? We brought you up to this point. Intermarrying stopped in Leviticus 18, 6 verse through 18. We know today that incest causes genetic abnormalities. When two people of similar genetics have children together, there is a high risk of their recessive characteristics becoming dominant. But before then, in the Old Testament, they could marry each other up to Leviticus. That's when it stopped, or should have stopped, because it's still going on today in 2023. Yeah. That is why it is important to know your lineage, your family tree. The very best reason I can give you is because if you have sex and you have children, you don't want your children to be deformed behind intermarrying within the same family. That's dangerous for the birth of children. We want to say that's nasty, but it's much deeper than that. And I just told you why. Adam and Eve were perfectly designed. So the first generations had a lack of genetic defects, because when he created them in his own image, perfect. So after they became woman and man and they sinned, that's when all of the diseases and all of these things start happening to us. So whatever you have, it didn't start today. Most of this stuff started in the very beginning of time, and it has just gotten worse and worse over the years. We don't always know our family. I can remember my mom, there was this guy that had asked if he could come down, and he wanted to date me. And I liked him and he liked me. I was in high school. And when he came down, I had told my mom I was having company tonight. And I always, whenever a guy came to see me, I went and introduced him to my parents. Well, when I went back to introduce him to my mom, my father wasn't home. She looked at me and she said, "Oh no, y'all are cousins." And I was like, "What?" So we had to chit chat the rest of the evening until he got ready to go home around 10 o'clock that night. And it was like, okay, his name was George. I was like, "Okay, George, well, we cousins, so we can be the best of friends. That's it. It ain't going no further." And he was like, I never told my parents where I was coming tonight, because they would have told me the same thing. He was a cousin on my father's side of the family. Yeah. And we went to the same high school. And we had eyes for each other. But thank God that my mom stepped up to the plate right fast in a hurry. When he said his last name, she was like, "And your daddy's name is," he was a junior, "and your daddy's name is George?" No, that ain't happening. So that ended that. Okay, let me get back into this, and then I'm going to get into my chat. So when sin entered the world, it brought about illness, diseases, and it compromised the bloodline. Okay, so that's why we have all of the things that's happening to us now, generational, throughout the years, passed down, passed on, okay, to all of our descendants. Adam and Eve's children had few when they were born, because remember, they were created perfect. So they didn't have all the problems that we can face now. It wasn't until Leviticus, like I said, when he demanded that this stop. Okay. So obviously they had to marry each other, brothers and sisters and cousins and everybody else up until that point. That's how all the people started getting created in the world. Okay, but with no genetic disorders right at that point when they were created. What does the Bible say about interracial marriage? The Old Testament law commands the Israelites not to engage in interracial marriages. You'll find that in Deuteronomy 7, 3, and 4. The reason for the command was not of skin color, but of religious beliefs. The Jews were not to marry foreign people who were then worshippers of false gods. The Israelites would not be led astray if they intermarried with odd worshippers, pagans, or heathens. This is exactly what happened in Israel according to Malachi 5 and 11. When you're going trying to connect something through the Bible, you got to understand the Old Testament, the laws were different. That's why they came up with the New Testament. That is the book that we are supposed to be living by today. We don't live by Old Testament laws. We live by New Testament. Okay? Do not be unequally yoked. Do not. We all are guilty of that. We fall in love with people and we end up in divorce court because we are not equally yoked. We saw something in them, whether it was just lust, that we liked in them. But eventually, we just talked about Will and Jada. They're not equally yoked. Never have been. One went along with the other. They may have become equally yoked in what they believed in, but they weren't from the beginning. And a lot of us are not. We say I do until death do us part, but that's why it doesn't work out. I'm guilty. Okay? You'll find that in Corinthians 2 Corinthians 6:14, about being equally yoked. The Bible never says that interracial marriages is wrong. You will never find it in there at all, period. Anyone who forbids interracial marriage is doing so without biblical authority. So we are allowed to do this in this day and time because it doesn't tell us we can't. He said we were all created in his own image as one people. Okay? And you'll find more as you read on about how the different languages came about. We may even tackle that subject at some point. So as Martin Luther King noted, a person should be judged by his character, not by his skin color. So he was a pastor who also brought that to the forefront before he passed away. There is no place in life as a Christian for favoritism based on race. You'll find that in James 2, 1 and 10. Ethnicity should not be ignored. It is absolutely, did y'all hear what I said? It absolutely should not be the determining factor in whether a couple should marry. An interracial couple may face discrimination and ridicule, and they should be prepared to respond to the prejudice in a biblical manner. In this day and time, it's not very bad at all. There are so many interracial children that come and get on that bus. It's almost like half and half now. And that's probably the way it should have been all along. But it didn't happen that way. But no, this marriage is honorable among all. You'll find Hebrews 13 and 4 also notes there is no difference between Jews and Gentiles. The same Lord is Lord of all and richly blesses all who all are called unto him. Romans 10 and 12, a colorblind church and a Christian interracial marriage can be a powerful illustration of our equality and the oneness in Christ. So that has been my research, that interracial marriages were never addressed in the Bible. We know now where prejudice and bias behaviors come from. The first murder. Nothing that we're going through has not happened before. If you go back to the very beginning of times, like I said, if you believe in just the universe, you're probably not going to believe any of this. It's hogwash to you. Believe what you want to believe. Okay? I brought this to you from my perspective and my research of where it started, and gave you the books and the chapters that you can go back and read it for yourself. Okay? Now let me go back up and get into the chat. Hello again, Ms.V. How you doing? Annette, Miss Michelle James is in the building tonight. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Hello, Sting. Listening while cooking. Okay. Carla, good evening to you. Looking lovely as always. Thank you. I came home from Miss Martha's, took a quick shower and put on some clothes. I wouldn't come out here looking like this morning after cleaning and running the street all day. That's how I end up with so many clothes trying to wash during the week, because I change clothes, like I tell you, so many times a day. Hey, the real spill, JP. Sue K is in the building also. I'm looking for comments as I go down to speak. Good evening to you too, Alice Cooper. I appreciate you coming in. Sue K said, please, everyone coming in, ring the doorbell. Thank you. And thanks to you also, Sue K. Shonda Thoughts is here. Shonda didn't get time to call you, but I will before the weekend is over. I have mixed nieces and nephews, says Carla. Even half Chinese. Granddad was Korean. Miss him so much. And that's what I've said. We're all mixed up some kind of way. You may not know it, or you may not know your lineage or your family tree, but I guarantee you, I don't think there's nothing pure about any ethnicity here on earth today. Kimberly McNeil is in the building. Thank you for coming in and chatting with me, as well as you, Sherry. Hello, ma'am. You're here? Thank you. Sting says, Carla, I have mixed nieces and nephews also, Black and Hispanic. Okay. Kimberly says that's true. The human race, exactly. One race, the human race. Different ethnicities, but one race. That's it. Everybody falls into that category. Whether you believe it or whether you like it or not, it is what it is. Hey, Sherry, yes, so true. You're on point. Okay. Thank you for the hearts, Kimberly. Sting says Genesis 1, 2, 6, and 27. It all began there in the very first book of the Bible. So if you never picked it up ever, you're not going to know this. Okay. Miss Wilmelina Torres, God bless you. And also bless you also. Okay, Deuteronomy 10 and 17. Yep. Pick it up sometime and read it. I'm not advocating nobody run up into church every Sunday, but how you think you're going to get to heaven? How you think you're going to live right down here when you don't have no instructions for life? That is your instructions. And like I said, we all fall short. We sin and come short of the glory of. But in order to do better, you got to know better. You got to have some instructions from somewhere, not from yourself, not from the people around you. And they don't have it together. You better try to go in there and dig it out for yourself. Sting, I love all of my interracial family. You got to love everybody. That's what was told to us through the good book, okay? Love everybody in spite of. Sometimes you have to walk away from people and give them tough love. Love is love. Don't mean you stop loving them. You just can't deal with what they're putting you through. So you have to just walk away from them. But still love them. Love them from a distance. If you have to. I don't think it's nobody in the world I hate. I like some people. I dislike some people's ways and their actions, but it ain't got nothing to do with love. If they needed my help out there, even if they done me wrong and they laying out there in the middle of the street, believe I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna try to do what I can for them until the paramedics get there. Okay? I'm gonna make sure I pick up that phone and call somebody. After that, I'm gone. You ain't gotta call and tell me thank you. I don't care. I did what I was supposed to do. Any service, good evening. How you doing? YouTube official site, hello to you and welcome to Chatting with Ms.V. Ephesians 2 and 14 says thing. Mildred says, what's up, Mama V? This is Miss Joy. Hey, how are you doing and feeling tonight? I'm feeling great. I love you and I love you back, Mildred. Love everybody. Like I said, if I have enemies, they are my enemies. I'm not their enemy. I don't have time to be going around hating people and doing all that crazy stuff. Nah. I mean, if you attack me and I choose to address it, I'm going to try to address it in a sensible, intellectual, from a biblical standpoint. I'm not going to cuss you out. I'm not doing none of that. I don't have to. Not me. Ms. V outfit is swag out. Love it. Thank you. It's old. Like I said, I haven't been shopping in a long time. I pick up something here and there, but I got so much that I have not even worn until I just decided, okay, you need to start wearing some of the stuff you got. I was in a bad habit in the service of buying stuff and it hung in the closet so long. I got tired of looking at it in the closet and gave it away. So I'm wearing it now. Yep. Never wonder. You can dismiss yourself. If the TF is what I think it is, why did you have to even come into the chat? I said in the very beginning, it may not be for you. So exit out like you came up in here. Okay, and thank you for the view. In his service, God is, come on now, spill that truth, Miss V. I got it out the book. Okay. I tell you where I got it from. Hey, Gladys, my name is Jessamine. Okay, welcome to Chatting with Ms. V. I was in Catholic school and nuns were very racist. We were, you people, every damn day. I went to a Catholic kindergarten, which was right down from the elementary school my mom taught at. And I was only there for 1 year. And I later asked her, I was the only child that experienced this. Why did you put me there? Little Flower Academy. It's still there in my hometown today. And she said, for discipline reasons. She wanted me to learn discipline because I was that child again who was not really raised by her until I was able to come back home after the head surgery and after she had finished college. So that was her reason. I went through a lot of stuff that my siblings never went through. They have no idea. They don't really know about integration. The boys were older. They all went to a black high school, so they never experienced that. Um, my sister was younger, so by the time she came around, the doors were already kicked open. Hey Elaine, come now. Love is action. Get it, Ms.V. Exactly. Feeling a feeling. It is. It's an action word. You can't just say I love you. You have to show a person that you love them. And that's the way it is. And like I said, I have videos out here where we've talked about love before. We've talked about a whole lot of different subjects over here on Chatting with Ms.V. When I first came out, it was twice a day, a different subject. That's why when somebody came in and they said, you changed your content, I didn't never change my content. It was always a different subject. It was always something I had to go and research and find out more about so I could come out here and be intelligent about the conversation. So I didn't get that. But anyway, I appreciate each and every one of y'all coming on tonight. I never saw Sandra come in, so she will catch the replay because I don't know exactly what happened on her job for her to ask me, Ms.V, can we talk about this? Maybe Saturday night wasn't good for her to be in here. She may have had something else to do, but she'll catch the replay. And if she wants to come back with a part 2, I'm down for it. I'm here for the challenge. Let me see. I have a lot of comments. I keep forgetting this phone. You got to mash the live button for the comments to come back up. Okay. Closer kin, deeper in, says Dennis Jones. I don't know if I quite understand that, but that was his comment. Miss Mildred says, is your mom still living, Mama B? No, she passed away of cancer in 1999, August of 1999. Her birthday was the 20th, which was yesterday was her birthday. Her birthday, my baby brother that passed away, who I took care of last year with the kidney failure, and my aunt that kept me, they all had the same birthday, and now they having heavenly birthdays all together again. Miss Mildred says, Miss Joy, yes. Okay. Saying that happened to cousins of mine, but they had already been in a sexual relationship and she got pregnant before they found out. She lost the baby. They stayed together for a while, had a son that lived. Okay. And that can happen when you don't know your lineage. You can. That's why I was determined to take my child around family when she was small. You need to know as many family as you could. And when she got ready to get married, I made sure he was of no relationship to her. Sting said they eventually stopped dating. Okay. Hey, Holistic, how you doing? Everybody speaking to you? Okay, I'm enjoying your live tonight, Ms.V. Thank you, Kimberly. Let's see. Let me go on down to the next comment. Jennifer, I have a granddaughter that's mixed. And like I say, most of us are going to have mixed families in the 2000s and in the 90s. It started really in the 80s, but not as prevalent as it is today. I don't think people really look today at what color you are. It's how you treat them. We are taught that people are simply created by God. Thus, I see them as creations and shades of color. Man-made words screwed it up. Was not God intent. I agree. In the service. Mildred says, this is Miss Joy. It can't be because my nephew had a baby by Caucasian woman and she is so beautiful, with no disrespect, Miss Joy. Okay. My 7-year-old nephew is biracial, and if someone says something about me and I am around, I am going off. He is my deceased brother's grandson, and I love his mother, and she her, loves y'all. Okay, holistic. Um, you should feel the same way about them as you feel about anybody else. They're family. I don't know how you could detach yourself because they are of a different ethnicity. I can't do that. I mean, they're family. They are who they are. I didn't create it. I didn't have nothing to do with it from the beginning. I mean, my family has been interracially marrying each other throughout the years, going back to the great grandfather. I wasn't there. I was created years later. Okay. To inherit the kingdom of God, we must be forgiven. Let go and let God. That's a great statement. But do we? Most of us don't. Okay. being in his service, we fit in with their family, and I get more support from her and her mom than my own family members. A lot of times you do. The white side of my family is way more accepting of me than even some of my siblings. My siblings have never gone out to meet that side of the family. I'm the only one. Later, the next generation of nephews, have connected with them on Facebook, but have never met them. I'm the only one in my family that knows that side of the family. The mountain people I told y'all about that live out in Denver and Colorado. And we become very close. And we only met about 15 years ago. It's when we came to know each other through Facebook. I told y'all the cousin that passed away of breast cancer, Miss Gwen, connected us. And she had been working on this all of her life. She did a dissertation to get her doctorates on her family roots. Yep. And all of this is why you are growing so fast. Good job. Thank you in his service. He sent his auntie Sean's picture mail from his soccer games. I love that little boy so much, and he loves me and my sister so much. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know any difference. I have kids that get on the bus every morning. One of them is Hispanic. And we talked about him out here. He's just as bad as he want to be, but he's a lovable child. His father is Hispanic, and he looks Hispanic, but his mother is Black, and she was a classmate of my daughter's down at the high school. And when I first stopped there, I think I told y'all about that. I knew his grandmother because she worked in the dentist's office where I used to take my child to the children's dentistry. And I knew his mother because she graduated with my daughter, and they were friends down at the high school. But I hadn't seen the child in years since he was a baby. And then all of a sudden, he's like 13 years old and he's riding on my bus now. And I'm like, wow. And, they come out every morning and wave at me and everything. And when the first morning, when I recognized the grandmother standing in the door, I was like, hold it, open the door. I got to speak to them. I know them. Yeah, it's a strange world we live in out here. Happy heavenly birthday to your mom. Yeah, I wish she was around. Y'all would love her. She was a sweetheart. Happy birthday to her in heaven. Thank you, Sting. I stay in the upper house, stratosphere heaven, I call it. Okay, in this service, that ain't a bad place to be. It's because when you come out into the world, it's when you got to deal with all kind of forms of evil and jealousy, and they'll never admit that that's what it is, but it is. You hear it, you see it. To come into somebody's home and just tear down that house or whatever, when that person might can't even afford to get a StreamYard, or maybe they don't want to show what they have, or they don't feel comfortable. You don't know why people stay behind walls and stuff. It doesn't matter to me. I've always come out here and shown my face and who I am. I just don't think I would like to hide behind the wall. Every now and then I come out behind the wall if I'm not properly dressed or if I'm busy cleaning up or whatever, if I'm doing something else. But for the most part, no. Hey, Candy Jones, how are you doing? Thank you for coming into the chat. Let me pull it back up. Okay, I got to go back up and find y'all because, okay, Sting says we don't see them as anything but family, and that's all they are. They are family. You see them as what they are. Okay. My day was so beautiful today. Okay, good, holistic. I spent some quality time with my sister and we cried and loved on each other. Great. Yes, his mother makes it a priority to keep him in touch with us. He has us on speed dial. Wonderful. I'm gonna skip over that because I don't even know what you're talking about. Mildred says, happy heavenly birthday to your mom. Mama went to heaven on 12/17/1996. She passed away from colon cancer. Miss Joy. Okay. Sorry to hear that, but like I say, they all come and they all have to go, and we got to do the same thing. Everybody's got to lay it down in order to leave this world to go to the next world. In his service says, Ms.V, spot on live, spread the word to us. Just think on it, okay? Holistic is speaking to you, Candy Jones, straight out of Naptown. Good evening. How you doing, niece? Okay. Everybody's speaking to you. Hortensia made it into the chat tonight. And Winnie Penny, hi, how you doing? And welcome to Chatting with Ms. V. Let me go down and pull it up again because I never know when I'm at the last of it or not. But I've been on here my hour, y'all. And this is what I was asked to talk about from one of my subscribers over here. So like I said, I had to get deep and get into the Bible and go back to biblical times from the beginning in order to pull the whole thing together. So we have all come to the agreement that family is family, no matter what ethnicity they may be, if they are married into your family or if you're related in any kind of way through past generations. Family is family. And that prejudice part of it needs to go. It needs to go. If you any kind of godly person, it needs to disappear from your tongue, from your lifestyle. Include everybody. Because if you don't, it's going to cause some problems down the road with your children and your grandchildren. Intermarrying, because you don't know who they're going to pick. You have no idea. So it can only hurt you in the long run. Ms. V is always on point. I tried holistic. That's all I can do is try. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all in the morning. We really had Sunday inspiration tonight on a Saturday night, but who cares? We do what we want to over here. Y'all have a great night. Y'all hit that like button for me. Like, share, and subscribe. Talk to you later. Good night.